you. Thanks, team.
Absolutely.
Have fun, team.
Ashley, you can put them in the chat. I wouldn't mind them either.
Everybody good? Yeah.
People, beautiful people, clap for yourselves. Welcome to America's Best College Poet 2021. I had to hold up for a second because I didn't know if you were ready. And you know what the answer was? I was right. You were wrong. You were not ready because your seatbelt's not on, okay? The airbag is not installed in front of you. Put your helmet on if you got it. Take your mask off if you're by yourself or socially distanced or outside or whatever. We have one of the most amazing, exciting shows you will ever see. We have 9 of the best college poets in the United States of America, okay? America's Best College Poet last year, 2020, was one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever been a part of in my life, and I have no doubt that this year is going to take it to the next level. You are going to hear from these poets soon, okay? But before we get there, first, I want to give the most epic shout out of gratitude to our executive producer, okay? She is like Simon Cowell, if Simon Cowell was infinitely more brilliant, extremely kind, and actually like deserving of executive producer status. Give it up for Sue Boxrud. Give it up for Sue Boxrud, everyone. It's the really fancy headshot that you see there with a really beautiful smile. My name is Carlos Andres Gomez. I'm the host for tonight, and I'm so honored to be doing this event with 4 of my dearest friends, 4 of the poets I admire most in the world, 4 legitimate poetry legends. So I'm going to announce them one by one, but don't take my word for it. You're going to hear them very soon and across this night, okay? One thing we always say before I introduce them, the energy that you give, even if people can't hear it, even if people can't see you in the frame, we feel all of it. If you're radiating it in your car, in your apartment, if you're like on a boat in the middle of the Pacific, I hope you're safe. I hope it's not stormy, but send all that energy, and I hope your Wi-Fi signal holds up because we feel all of that, okay? In the chat, like give people love, like type in things, use emojis, you know what I mean? Ebony Stewart's been like doing the heart emoji all night, and I feel every single one. Thank you. There we go. I feel that. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Dexter. We feel all that. So let's clap for each other. Let's remember that poems change people's lives. Who wins tonight, so-called, does not change anyone's life, even though the winner does get $1,000 in US dollars cash. And the second place person gets $250, and the third place person gets $250. That's not a small deal at all. Yes, 1,000 US dollars, not Monopoly money, like actual cash, okay? But as I was saying, the 4 poetry legends that are a part of tonight, one of them scorekeeping, 3 of them are judges. First, our scorekeeper, okay? She's a national poetry slam champion. She is a certified legend, like 20 years plus, coming out of the Denver, Colorado poetry scene, because I know how to say Colorado correctly. She's one of my dearest friends. She's one half of Dare to Speak. Give it up for Katie Kramer! Yeah. She's super fancy. Oh my gosh. Katie Like, give Katie an Oscar nomination, because I'm like, you should be at the BAFTAs right now, Katie. Aren't the BAFTAs happening like right now? Okay, now to our 3 judges. Oh my goodness. I was shouting out her heart emoji game. She is like one of the sweetest, most radiant, most brilliant people in the game. She is Women of the World Poetry Slam champion. She is a certified legend out of Texas, one of my favorite cities in Texas, some of the best food in Texas, many of the legends that come out of Texas, like maybe you've heard of, Megan Thee Stallion, Ebony Stewart, Paul Wall, Beyonce Knowles. Yeah, I said it one time, I'm going to say it again. Give it up for Ebony Stewart. Ebony Stewart. Give it up for Ebony Stewart. Woo, woo, woo. Also, anybody who loves poetry or anybody who knows anything about Poetry Slam knows there is one place that has been legendary for longer than I can keep track of, and that is Charlotte, North Carolina, okay? Like where the Charlotte Hornets are, owned by the GOAT, Michael Jordan, okay? I know it's not Wilmington, but it's Charlotte, North Carolina. It's where GOATs live when it comes to poetry. I have known this guy for like legitimately 20 years. Like we were in a slam like 18 years ago. And he still had like incredible beard game then when he was 13 years old. He was super talented. He's a National Poetry Slam champion. I don't even know how many times he's won the National Poetry Slam, but it's several. Please give it up for Charlotte, North Carolina's own certified legend. Give it up for Carlos Robson. And last but certainly not least, talk about legendary cities, talk about legendary poets, former like president of Poetry Slam Incorporated, okay, living in my humble opinion, the second greatest city in the United States behind New York City, where I'm from, which is where I live right now, and she's there right now, and we're like probably 15 or 20 minutes driving, but we're still not seeing each other because we follow CDC regulations, and we're waiting to be back in a more familiar world. You may have seen her go viral with her Missy Elliott poem. You may have seen her on NPR's Tiny Desk. She's like won so many slams. People call her Big 30. Give it up for Ashley Hayes. Oh my goodness. I want us to ride this energy. I want the first poet to get as much love as the 7th poet, as much love as the 9th poet. Every poet, I want it to be like the first, the last, the only poet we're ever going to see in our lives. Okay. And I want us to cheer like student debt doesn't exist anymore. Like nobody pays taxes anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't have to wear masks ever again and it's safe. Cool. One thing no poet wants to do is read the first poem on a night. So I'm going to read the first poem now to break the ice. Okay. And then Ashley Hayes is going to be the sack goat. And then we're going to jump right into the finale. 2021 of America's Best College Poet, and we're going to hear from them in this order. And I'm using the names that they have asked me to use. If you don't want me to use your first and last name or something else, please direct chat me right now. But we're going to hear from Ray going first. Clap for Ray. Then we're going to hear from Maddie McGlinchey. Give it up for Maddie McGlinchey. Then we're going to hear from Josh. Give it up for Josh. Then we're going to hear from Kendriana. Give it up for Kendriana. Then we're going to hear from Chantel Elliott. Give it up for Chantel Elliott. Then we're going to hear from Kate. Give it up for Kate. Then we're going to hear from Kudzai Kaparura. Give it up for Kudzai Kaparura. Then we're going to hear from Dexter. Give it up for Dexter. Then we're going to hear, closing this out last, but certainly not least, give it up for Mer. Oh my goodness. This poem is about being 15, out dancing with my friends, something I can't wait to do. And as soon as we're back in a more familiar world, I'm going to travel to the other side of Atlanta and go dancing with Ashley. And then I'm going to go to Charlotte and dance with Los. And then I'm going to go to Houston and dance with Ebony. And then I'm going to go to Colorado and I'm going to dance with Katie. And we're going to have a great time. This is called Last Sundays at Bootleggers. And it goes like this. My entire wardrobe was Canal Street's original. Knockoff chic. Adolescent sleek in my double XL blue and black bubble jacket. Yeah, I was inside the club, and what? Inside an oversized coat coated in sweat and Old Spice. A kid eyeing 16, but not quite there. I wanted it all, Chico. Learner's permits, the latest Jordans in baby blue, maybe a wink from the pretty Boricua in social studies. And when Biggie's verse dropped in Only You, he was in that room and teaching us how to stay elevated. From that third floor wasteland towering above India Points, so we sang, sour-throated and nostalgic, for times we hadn't yet lived in unison, like we wrote it till our voices cracked and spilled over and between every rift. But in the throng of lost kids, where I finally found a self I loved, it all came together. Like we could remix any wreckage and make it into a stage to slay, so we swayed and grinded like our lives were a music video tribute, hip to hip. Are you ready to do this? Are y'all ready to do this? Are y'all ready for Big 30? Are y'all ready for Ashley Hayes? Are y'all ready for ATL twice in a row to come visit your living room, wherever you are, even if you're in a one-room apartment? Give it up for Ashley Hayes!
I have spent my life living as a ghost in the shell of a woman. In my dreams, I exist in a space where I am present in my own body, and here it does not belong to anyone but me. This body, a poem, void of the praise I would not give it, is now a place I dwell. Here I name all my body parts, and there are no bad words. Here I am the rule and not the exception. Here my fat is not sacrilege. It's only decoration for a home I am proud to live in. Here in this wonderland, my flesh is not carved or covered in a quest for approval. I give myself permission to be, and that is all that matters. Here in this paradise, I commune with myself and no one names it sin. I realize how willingly I have named myself cursed, and how hesitant I have been to name myself God. This body be a hallelujah. It is a church holy and unscathed, a trembling indigo morning that I worship when everyone is looking. Oh universe, if I cannot manifest this existence, let this sleep be an endless one. Let me lead a life in any realm that allows me to show up as myself.
Woo! Are we ready, team? Are we ready to go? Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Bridget. Yes, everyone watching, please text 37 of your best friends. Send them the link. Tell them, you know what I mean? This is the hookup. Los Robson hooked you up. He's got the, he's got the he's got the connection points, okay? That's what happens when you're in the game for that long. Give it up one more time for Ashley Hayes. Oh my goodness, okay? On deck, we have Maddie McGlinchey. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say on deck, and then I'm gonna name the person that's going first, okay? The person that's going next, okay? And I'm gonna say on deck, and then I'm gonna name the person that's gonna kick things off, okay? So, on deck is Maddie McGlinchey, but right now, setting this finale off, give it up for Ray!
Hey y'all, thank you. This poem is called Maybe I Should Stop Taking Breaks. Now that I'm home, I guess I could start to write about some happy shit. I could talk about my city and the niggas in it, how the sun shine a little brighter out west, even though they say we ain't got no grass. We got Pivot Gang though. It ain't a grocery store in a 5-mile radius, but niggas stay fed, well taken care of. My city is the Mecca and the niggas in it are gods. The niggas in my city came to reclaim and rename themselves in the streets because the power in remembering who you are and whose you are is the one thing that keep niggas in my city alive. The power in the minds of all the niggas in my city is enough to keep the gentrifiers scared. If only that fear turned into them getting the fuck out, but when the revolution come, it'll be their fault when we feast on they goofy ass. The revolution will be started by some niggas from out south. If it's one thing the bourgeoisie should fear, it's a nigga with all black Air Force Ones on. This poem just might be the thing to end the West Side versus South Side beef. Even though the beef really wasn't that deep in the first place, because at the end of the day, whether you from the West Side or the South Side, you still laughing at niggas from Calumet City talking about they from Chicago. I took a break from my city and went away for school. And let me be clear, niggas in Boston are weird as hell, but it's just something else about being 800 miles away from my city and my family and my home that don't sit right with me. But now that I'm home for the summer, I could finally write about some happy shit, right? Piece together the puzzle of myself, my family, my second break from my city happened at the same time I took a break from writing this poem to go to Vegas for my birthday. It was cute, but the city moves a little too fast for my introverted ass, so I was ready to come home. Now that I'm home, I have to mourn. One Saturday, I was turning 20, celebrating another dance around the sun and a journey to a new decade. And the following Sunday, the pits of my stomach are in my ass because my cousin got killed on June 2nd. Damn. Happy Pride Month. Pride in my heart, in my blood, in my existence to be from the holy city, Chicago, 773, out west, 290, my cousin, so loyal to this place that took him. We still love it. We still rejoice in the Fire City. Thank you.
Woo!
Jeez.
That's how we start, team. Give it up one more time for Ray. Give it up one more time for Ray. Woo! Ashley Hayes. Don't be fooled by the poetry. Don't think Ashley Hayes is not a calculus savant. And don't think Ashley Hayes plays with numbers. Ashley Hayes relayed a message to me to relay to the judges, okay? Send your damn scores to Ashley Hayes. that was the message that I'm passing along. She said, send those scores. So don't forget. This is my problem. This is why I can't judge. I get so into the poems, I forget to judge. I know I'm not the only one. Los, not trying to call you out. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Los. No, Los. Yeah, he's like, what? Okay, so on deck. This is what we're gonna do. On deck, after the next poet, I will announce the score that Ray got. Okay, because Ashley's like a calculus savant, but she's not a computer. So like, we got to give her like more than 9 seconds. So on deck, we have Josh. But up next, give it up for Maddie McGlinchey.
Hi guys, I'm Maddie. This poem is called The Stars Tell Me I Am Loud. My sun is in Aries, which means an emphasis on sun, which means burning too brightly, which means being a raging fire. Every time I ask the stars to tell me about myself, they tell me I am loud. And I know I have a voice that fills up every room I step into. I know my whispers can be heard through walls, but I will no longer apologize for the power contained by my lips. I know I was always meant to be a poet because my words insist on being heard. I will not keep quiet. I will not try to douse my flames in shame. The stars tell me I am loud and I scream in response. I do not wait for mountaintops or anger to let my volume rise. I scream until the constant pressure is released in my chest. I scream because being quiet is overrated. The stars tell me I am loud, and I think of all the women before me who were spoon-fed silence. I think of all the witches who tried to speak up and were met with fire. I think of my ancestors who had to hide behind silence to avoid persecution. I think of 15-year-old me who could not love out loud. The stars tell me I am loud, and I ask them how I couldn't be, when so many who came before me did not have the option to speak, when silence has always been suffocating, when men are allowed to say anything that comes to their minds, but women are always hushed, when my options are either to scream or to shut my mouth, and I have renounced silence as the weapon I now know it to be. The stars tell me I am loud, and I thank them. Thank you.
Give it up for Maddie McGlinchey. Maddie McGlinchey. Woo! Oh my goodness. Does anyone like feel the energy in our virtual arena right now? Does anybody else feel that? Like my skin feels like electricity. I was just like, oh my, people are, we're here. The poets are here. The poets are ready to go. So Ray's score for their first poem was a 23.8. We're going to hear about Maddie McGlinchey's score after the next poet. On deck is Kendriana, but up right now, first poem from him in the first round. Give it up for John! Oh, Josh,
You're muted.
Josh, you're muted, but your time didn't start yet. Don't worry, Josh. You're muted. Your time didn't start yet. Take a breath, unmute yourself, and then the clock will start when you start talking. You got it. You got it. You're in the zone. That was a warm-up.
Blood is always darker than I remember. The color reminds me of all the times I was too ashamed to show my face, so my shadow blushed for me. The first time I was committed to memory, I stopped having flashbacks. Every moment before the pills wove their way between the falling swords of my tears became afterthoughts. Those scribbled nightmares I slipped in my shadow's pockets for safekeeping. At least memory had the decency to let you choose your cellmates. No pills are my weapon of choice, so it's ironic how they continue to ply me with pills, like they're trying to win a nuclear war with more bombs. I'm given maps that read like battle plans to navigate oceans of feeling. I pity whoever drew them, because the only time bodies of water appear different are when storm clouds drag them to bed, along with Xanax and a half-empty bottle of cheap vodka. But still, I'm told to follow the maps, that there's treasure out here, that X marks the spot. But why would you bury something so valuable the same way you would have buried me? I know what it's like to feel broken, and this is different. I felt broken when Johnny called me a nigger in middle school, and I realized the hard R wasn't reserved for recess. I may have felt broken, but a chipped knife is better than no knife. In a street fight, there's a big difference between being heavy and being dead weight, between being broken and a burden. I feel like glass that can't shatter because it's never finished falling, like a math equation only understood by TI 84s and Pythagoras' ghost. Like Western medicine is playing me, a slot machine in the casino of my parents' health insurance. Here I sit, in a chair without metal or corners, in a hoodie and sneakers without strings or laces, in a hospital called memory, while they try to save me from mine. She knows how all of this works, how to strangle the approachability from my pupils and the confidence from my spine, how to deliver trauma so bluntly empathy is concussed. Take my everything. If you're by my side, I don't need to love myself. I just need to make sure misery never learns my name. To fool the world into believing we share a moment of weakness, not an eternal mistake. Take it all. The batteries to my facial expressions, the only flashlight strong enough to light up the pit in my stomach, the starting pistol preloaded with blank expressions that let my mind know it's time to race. I could never love you. And that's why you're perfect. You gave me a purpose, so I'll give you a name. I think I'll call you Borrowed Time.
Give it up for Josh. Woo! Wow. I think one thing that I value so much about any time you gather poets in an event like this is to watch like each person's style, stories, aesthetics, textures of each writer is so unique and so distinct. Maddie McGlinchey in the first round got a 22.3. We're going to hear what Josh got after the next poet. On deck is Chantel Elliott, but up right now is Kendriana. Make sure to unmute yourself, Kendriana. You got it.
Sorry about that. Okay. There was a girl who gave everything away. She gave absolutely everything away. Not in the material sense, but something much deeper than that. When she was a baby, her presence gave her aching mother comfort, so she began giving all her love to her. As she grew to a child, her sweet demeanor helped her sister from living in the dark, so she gave her all her light. As she grew older, she would give away her voice to those who didn't have one. She would give away her peace to the disturbed, and then she would give away her innocence to the one who was so corrupt and without remorse. She gave away her smile to help the angry. She gave away her confidence to aid the insecure. She gave away her joy to the despondent. The last thing she gave away was her heart. And it created a vicious and incorrigible void inside of her. This girl had come to discover that she had run out of pieces of herself to hand out. She became cold, distant, and emotionless. Some would call her weak and ask how one could be so selfish, but they didn't know who she was before. They didn't know how many she has saved. With no one to save her in return, they judged her without a solid case, left her dry when all she needed was salvation. Then there was a boy who never gave anything away. He was full, he was content, and he never intended on diminishing his inventory until he met this empty girl, this hollow and used girl. This boy thought that perhaps he could spare just a small part of himself, and he did. He gave her attention, and then he gave her promises, and she hoped that maybe he could give her commitment. But he took back everything he gave her when she couldn't satisfy his desires, and it left her vacant once more. It had been the last heartache that this broken girl could handle. Useless and without a purpose, she colored herself gray. And then she hid all the colors. She didn't want to see them anymore. And as she cried one night, she came up with a solution so bright and so brilliant that she believed it could actually save her. With courage and determination, she wiped all her tears. She stood before the mirror. She stared at her reflection, and she gave herself love. She gave herself hope, and she gave herself a purpose. And with those wonderful things, she became full again in time, more full than she had ever been before. And this girl learned her value. So no one could ever take parts of her with such greed. No one could ever hurt her so terribly. And no one, and I mean no one, could ever steal her soul without the intention of giving it back. And that was the greatest gift.
Give it up for Kendriana. Beautiful, yes. Oh my goodness, team. We're already at the halfway point of the first round, if you can believe it. We're at the 5th poet out of 9 in the first round. First round for Josh got a 23.0 for that beautiful poem. We're going to hear about Kendriana's score after the next poet. On deck, we have Kate, but right now we have Chantel Elliott.
Okay, let's just start off by saying I'm nervous. So let's just get that out there. I'm always nervous, no matter how much I do it. Okay, so my poem is called The Tree Poem. So that's the name, that's the title of the poem, The Tree Poem. Okay. Baby, I'm like a tree. Like nature, my afro are the leaves, my morals be the branches, the blood in my veins be the vine, honey, oh yes. My smile be the sun. My soul be bright like the moon, and my years be coming soon. So gather round, hear the strings of my heart play a tune. My eyes be futuristic. So when you look into them, you get just a glimpse of eternity. My cracked lips still be moist like the Jordan River. My feet be shackled like slaves, but yet and still I walk. With my head up, I walk. Even when society begged me to sit down, back down, and stay on the ground, I walk. Even though they laughed and said I wouldn't make it. Honey, I walk. I walk for the nation. I walk for the abused. I walk for the lonely. I walk for the misused. I walk for the broken, the disenfranchised too. I walk for the forgotten, lost and ridiculed. I walk for people just like you.
Woo! Give it up for Chantel Elliott. My gosh, the switch there. Damn, I was like, whoa, I love it. I love it. Give it up for Chantel Elliott one more time. So in the first round, first poem from Kendriana, it would have been a 21.3 in the first round, but it was 46 seconds over. So with time deductions, it was an 18.8. Everyone say boo time. Boo time, because I'm keeping it really PG right now. I'm not sure why, but I don't know who's watching. And my kids are really close by. No. But clap for the poem by Kendriana, 18.8, but a brilliant, beautiful poem. We're going to find out about Chantel Elliott's score after this next poet on deck is Kudzai Kaparura. But right now, give it up for Kay!
They will call you Dust Bowl Girl, and you will wonder if they can see the grit between your eyelashes or sense the many roots beneath your feet. They will laugh when they say it with a cruelty that wraps around you like cigarette smoke and lingers. You're from here too, is what you want to say, but it's brittle in your mouth. A prayer to a false prophet. They are from here, but you are of here. You are fading and they are gone. Every day you drive past the crooked clock tower. It hasn't worked in 2 decades, a bomb that doesn't tick, but you all feel it, watching, waiting for the flash of grad caps and tassels, for trunks, glittering with suitcases, for the faces in your yearbook to flee in the night. When it reaches its long hands out to pull them back, they shed what you knew them as, tearing through parking lots, rolling through stop signs. They don't slow down until they hit the highway, where their dustless faces grin into a dying sun. They call you years later with voices like cellophane, telling you that you too can own a house with a washing machine and credit card debt if you just get out of there. You tell them that you were caught by the clock tower and they stop picking up the phone. You wonder if this is what Pompeii felt like moments after eruption, like not knowing it's over until the ash hits your throat. They will call you Dust Bowl Girl and your teeth pull apart on a summer breath snarl. So many words will clutter up your throat that you won't be able to breathe around them. You will listen to those girls day after hot powdered day as they pile up their words like sugar on lemon squares, like ladies in the bathroom powdering their noses. Every word you've ever known will get caught on your tongue. If they only call you Dust Bowl Girl because they can see it branded into you, it only hurts you because it's true. So you open your mouth and choke, choke, choke. Dust Bowl Girl, noun. It means one who walks in place. It means you who folds up the sun and swallows it. Your bones are stagnation. They are calcium rot, burrowed into sand and clay with other forgotten things. You are earth creatures. You are burning asphalt and soil, like the taste of lemonade and porch wood, like floor polish, like I'll never get out of here. Dust Bowl Girl. They will grow old and leave this town, blowing away on the breeze like faded newspaper, searching for somewhere to belong, but you could stay. You could stay, flowering where they would wilt, rising where they would crumble. They will call you Dust Bowl Girl, like it's something full of shame, but you are from this place and of this place. You know it's new and old things, it's cyclical decay. You are the thickening of the sky that creaks old bones and startles bird flight. You are the wind building the clouds that swallow the sky. They will call you Dust Bowl Girl, but it is you who brings the rain. Thank you.
Give it up for Kate! Yes. My goodness. Anyone else just like feeling inspired, goosebumps, giddy, electricity through their bodies? My gosh. I feel like I feel so good. I feel so nourished by everyone. Oh, it's so beautiful. So Chantel Elliott got a 24.1 on that first poem in the first round. We're going to find out about Kate's score after the next poet. On deck is Dexter. And if you can believe it, we're down to our last 4 poets in the first round. On deck is Dexter, but right now is Kudzai Kaparura.
Love and lust are synonymous when world thinks of Black women. Lesser love, more so lust. It's a Saturday night. I want to feel sexy with my girls. I wear a cropped black top, low deep V with my baggy jeans. I went for a 90s hip hop style, sexy and cool. I make my way to the restroom with one of my girls, past the tables and around the corner. As we walk, a man so boldly meets his eyes to my body. I would like to say our eyes met, but my being didn't matter in that moment. By then, I was another Black body, another Black woman, another porn category, another fetish. I feel his eyes devour me, consume me, and follow me, his head turning to follow me all the way until the bathroom door swings shut. He forgot his table, the woman sitting right in front of him. It's as if my body was a magnet in that moment and in many other moments too. His eyes so attracted, but more than attracted, they looked hungry. They looked ready to dive in. This sensation brought discomfort, of course, but more than that, familiarity. It felt familiar, it wasn't new. At school, in my cheer uniform, their hungry eyes protrude. At church, in certain dresses, the eyes make themselves comfortable on my way. As my body hugs my dress, my body is not a snack, my body is a temple, my body is holy, my body is sacred. Say a prayer to your God that he may forgive. The way you long to shake the temple cause havoc upon Jerusalem. The discomfort shifts to familiarity, familiarity to anger. Why does it mean for me, a Black woman, most male attention is presented in a sexual manner? On Bumble, our profiles both say date, but I become the exception. As you ask me to mate, it's because I am a Black woman. I hate that people deny these experiences of mine. They didn't mean it that way. It happens to every woman. Unless you are a Black woman, stay clear out of my way. It is my voice to say what my story is. It is my right to exclaim the traumas you all commit. This is my story. These are my experiences. How dare you deny the over-sexualization of Black women as if Jezebel doesn't exist, as if there aren't millions of Black women vocalizing these stories. It's as if you need paper and research and study and numbers to validate my story. It's as if you deny all the stories and research because it's easy. It is disrespectful to speak while I am speaking. Raise your hand, but know that you will not be called upon. I don't know what it feels like to be wanted in a way that isn't exotic.
Woo! Damn, give it up for Kudzai Kaparura. Oh my goodness. That last line, I was like, is this the end? That's the end. Oh my gosh. I took a second to like catch my breath. Oh my goodness. Kate got a 24.1 on the poem before Kudzai's. We're going to find out about Kudzai Kaparura's score after this next poet. On deck is the final poet in the first round, Merm. But coming up right now, give it up for Dexter!
When I tell people I am a trans person, I get a lot of responses. Some are good, but most fall in meaner boxes. The best one is the obvious, cool, what are your pronouns? Most people aren't that nice, but the one thing I get the most that I'm dying to stop hearing is you must have it so hard in our political climate, as if my gender is a political statement. I don't want my identity to be political because political implies that I'm doing this to prove a point, like my identity is nothing but that point on a graph of dozens of other trans people who are just dying to express their view. My identity is not that. My identity is, however, who I am and who I say I am. My gender is a warm, rainy day where the clovers are starting to peek out of the grass. My gender is purple lipstick and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bow tie I have owned since 6th grade. My gender is not constrained to your binary, but it does not say no to it. My gender is pink tutus and manscaping. My gender is ballet prince, which is what I told my mom I wanted to be when I was in kindergarten. Speaking of kindergarten, I remember telling my best friend that I was a bunch of bees in a trench coat, and I was not wrong. My identity is flat McDonald's Sprite at 3 in the morning. My gender is a number that doesn't exist, but somehow does because math is fucking stupid. My gender is what I say it is, and I say no. It is not a political statement.
Woo! Give it up for Dexter! Oh my goodness, team. How are we at the last poet in the first round? Who did this? Did we just get pulled through like a wrinkle in time, put in like a time capsule, a time machine? Everyone's like, Carlos, what are you talking about? A time machine? Is that what you're looking for? We're going to find out what Dexter got after the next poet, who is the final poet in the first round. I don't know how this happened. We've somehow heard from 8 poets, and we're about to hear from the 9th poet. So, before we get there, Kudzai Kaparura got a 25.5 on that first round, first poem. But closing us out right now, before we hear what Dexter got, closing out the first round, give it up for Mer!
Okay. My biggest flaw is that I forget my life is not a movie or a television show. People do not have to come back for a second season, but every year my life is renewed for another. I have what I call seasonal memory, where I remember the story arcs, character, and important plot points. But my episodic memory is not there. I can't remember episodes in my life where jaw-dropping, tear-jerking, and fan-favorite moments occur. Sometimes I cannot remember entire sequences of episodes that string together until I come back making the funny joke to the live studio audience in my head. And the rest of the season continues like those memories haven't been forgotten, a cast member asking me where I am when I made a promise to them, where my episodic memory fails. After a few seasons, my friendships cannot seem to stay alive. I forget, and soon the audience does too, until it slaps me in the face. I'm done. And rightfully so. I literally took you out and filled our previous time together with filler episodes and flashbacks of a previous life where you were in it, as a part of the lead cast with a spot in the theme song instead of the credits, speeding by while the audience waits for the next episode, ultimately skipping it to find out what happens next. What could possibly happen next? How will they get through this drama? How will this affect their performance in the rest of the show? But in life, breakups happen, and every time will not be as happy as our first one. I want you to live a life without paparazzi following, constantly taking pictures every time you leave the house, asking what you're doing next, never getting the privacy you deserve. The seasons we did spend together, I'll binge watch with popcorn in a tissue box, crying every time we cried, laughing every time we laughed, because those were simpler times. Those were our times. I wish I cherished our lives together as much as I cherish our memories. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for Merv, closing out the first round of America's Best College Poet, the grand finale 2021 edition. Give it up for all of the poets. Give it up for all the poets. Clap for yourselves. Clap for each other. What a spectacular evening it is. Like we really are like taking things to the next level. I'm about to say Dexter's score, but I'm stalling for the judges so they can send scores to Ashley Hayes, who can send me the score for Merm as well before I turn it over. Well, actually, I'm not going to turn it over to Ashley yet because Ebony's going to do a poem, I believe. So Dexter got a 25.6 on their first round poem. Merm got a 23.5 on that first round poem. Our in-house calculus savant will be crunching numbers very quickly. But to give Ashley some time to do that, you have a real treat right now, okay? Because like I said, you know what I mean? On that Mount Rushmore of Houston legends, of course Beyonce's on there. Of course Megan Thee Stallion is trying to make a case. Of course, you know, Paul Wall might have just carved his name on there. But you know what face needs to be there? Ebony Stewart, Women of the World Poetry Slam champion, one of the most brilliant, sweet, amazing human beings I've ever met, certified legend out of Houston, Texas. Give it up for Ebony Stewart!
Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate you, dog. You know, we gotta put Travis Scott on there. We gotta put
yeah, Travis Scott. What am I doing? I just saw Travis.
We gotta put Lizzo on there. I mean, I'm just saying, Chad.
Travis is, you see his documentary? That documentary? You see his Travis Scott's documentary? Oh man.
I gotta watch it.
Woo, yeah, put Travis Scott on there. Sorry about that, Travis.
Yo, can I just see the screen light up with nothing but hearts and love for Carlos Andres Gomez, your host, who is fabulous, who is amazing. Y'all, you know what it is. This guy is such a good person. Yeah, look at that. I like that. Echo what you heard, yeah. Let's see. I'm asked to write about the birth of my demons, to tell how fear is born, the way it came into existence. I struggle myself to ink, strike through words, crumble 100 pages with fear written all over them, leaving me waist deep in torture. Flood my body with every story that has ever tried to consume me. Fear must have been born like this. And tremble and strange sounds must be a belly's echo with muffled screams slung all around. Must be an artist, must be an international student relearning everything that couldn't make its way across an ocean. Must be an island, must be lonely growing lusciously. Must have grown fangs and thorns and vines. Must have wrapped itself in everything hard and hurt. Must have strangled love until its eyes popped out. Fear must be blind and touching everything. Must have 8 arms and 3 heads, must be a monster mating with itself multiple times until it became a forest, a continent, a whole person, a place to live. Fear must have a stubborn heart, must thump stress, speak creep, must haunt your dreams, your goals, your happiness. Fear be a bottom feeder, must scrape every last bit of hope from your feet, must keep you stuck and graduated hater. Yeah, fear must be a cowboy roping, hanging, must be a gangster with a machine gun, must be a police officer with an empty weapon at the emptiness weapon inside the soul of a black body. It must be a black mother's home with all these unarmed black bodies walking around. Fear must be a nigga. And everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. Shots fired. Yeah, shots fired. Yeah, fear must be balmy, core beauty and exotic. The only person of color in the whole room. Must be the revolution untelevised. Must be a man calling out another man when misogyny forces its way into its mouth. Fear must be coming out, but still having to pretend to be someone else. Must be a body in transition. Must be permission for 2 women to kiss in public, for 2 men to hold hands. Fear must be a law, must be in place to save the human race. Quote, the universe wrote fiction in us, and it's called fear. And I'm not saying I'm ashamed. I don't even want to be brave. I just don't want to be afraid of being who I am, but fear is the part of me I know the most. Therefore, I think I'm free, but am I really? Fear is who we love and sexing and paying our tithes to. Yes, fear is a God, a religion, who we pray to and believe in. Fear mustn't be uttered, admitted, or claimed to have faith in. Fear must just be who fear be and how fear came about.
Woo! Come on, team. Ebony Stewart, Travis Scott's favorite poet laureate of your heart. We are on to the second round, team. And there's a saying that we have in poetry slams. Let me tell you, I have been in poetry slams with like certified legends. I'm saying like where they got knocked out in the first round. Like Rachel McKibbins didn't make the second round. Do you know what I'm saying? Like people that are just like spectacular, like legends on another level. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like Ty Freedom Ford didn't make the second round. Like forget it. You know what I mean? So we have to say goodbye to 3 poets. And I'm trying to look really quickly to figure out which 3 poets. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, to 2. Okay. We are saying goodbye to Maddie McGlinchey is one poet we are saying goodbye to. Clap for Maddie McGlinchey. Congrats for all time. You are a finalist of America's Best College Poet. top 10 college poets in the United States. We're also saying goodbye to Kendriana. Clap for Kendriana. For all time, you are a finalist, top 9 of America's Best College Poet for 2021. In the second, exactly, Merv. Yeah, put that on your resume, okay? Put that on the resume, damn it. We are going to hear in the second round in this order, okay? In this order, we're going to hear from Dexter. Give it up for Dexter. Moving on to the second round. We're going to hear from Kudzai Kaparura going second. Third, we're going to hear from Chantel Elliott. Give it up for Chantel Elliott. Going fourth, we're going to hear it from Kate. Give it up for Kate. Going fifth, we're going to hear it from Ray. Give it up for Ray. Going sixth, we're going to hear from Merm in the second round. And closing out the second round, we're going to hear from Josh. Give it up for those 7 poets who we're going to hear from in the second round. Are you all ready? Are you all still here? You just heard Ebony Stewart. You got to hear Ashley Hayes. You got to hear all your compatriots here who are like off the meter incredible. And there's so much love in the chat, in this virtual arena that we have built. Are you ready? Clap if you're ready. Throw an emoji up there if you're ready. On deck is Kudzai Kaparura, but coming up right now, you just heard from them a few minutes ago. Give it up for Dexter!
The coffee shop, where the poet sits in a small corner, waiting for the right people to come by, and where the poet gets inspiration from these people's stories and the caffeine they consume. The coffee shop, where a group of young kids come in to get black coffee, as if not needing sugar in their drinks is cool. The coffee shop where students write frantically on Word documents, using espresso to get through their history essay as if the caramel-flavored drink in front of them is their savior and lifeblood, because for most college students, it is. The coffee shop, where young trans kids get to put their name experiments on their cups to see if they like it, because they don't really know if it fits yet. And the queer barista with the green hair and the pride pin on their sweater honors those names because they know what it's like and what it means to those kids. The coffee shop, where single parents go with their 3 kids leashed to their sides to get the energy they desperately need to function, and where other moms go get coffee because otherwise they wouldn't have a break. Because talking to another mom is the only getaway they have from the stress of raising a family by yourself while the father works 24/7, while she works 24/7, while her kids go to school 24/7, the coffee shop where alternative kids stand outside the store with their cigarettes and leather jackets and enjoy the high of laughter with each other, where a young girl stands at the counter asking the barista for a hot chocolate with the $5 bill her mom gave her that her mom worked half an hour for, where teachers sit in the quietest corner possible and flesh out lesson plans because an empty classroom feels too lonely, where teenagers sit with their friends because they needed to get away from the house, or away from the house, nowhere near the house, because dad is leaving and mom doesn't know what to do and the kid can't stand listening to them argue for any longer, where a boy sits and applies for apartments because his parents kicked him out for being gay, and where a trans girl is crying in the bathroom because she got a text with the same thing, where hundreds of people pass by like flies with so many different stories that make the poet's head spin and spin and spin, and the poet seeing these stories, memorizing every coffee order, staring at the pain and love in everyone's faces, a pencil in hand. The poet writes. Poet writes out every detail, every phone call, every extra shot of espresso, every pencil break. The poet writes, and the coffee shop speaks. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for Dexter! Second round, second poem. Oh my goodness, team. On deck, we're going to hear from Chantel Elliott. But coming up right now, second poem, second round from this incredible poet. Give it up for Kudzai Kaparura!
World sees Black woman. Negative today, undesirable tomorrow, undesirable today, negative tomorrow. But Black girl, girl, African queen, baby mama, glow princess girl, you clearly don't realize that you're magic. Black girl, no, woman, you are backbone, power source, mysterious and wise. The surface may see, angry black woman, black girl with weave, black girl with dreams too high, she probably won't achieve. What do I see? We, the independent which rests beneath each unique ethnicity, our hair nappy, kinky texture and artwork that continually changes and is detailed to our pleasure. You should straighten your hair sometime. An artwork that continually changes and is detailed to our pleasure, cornrows, bantu knots, dreadlocks, faux locks, box braids, singles. No, she's not brushing her hair with a toothbrush, my European friend. She laying her edges, but somewhere in history, lost in translation. My cornrows became Kylie Jenner braids, my dreadlocks became barbaric, my bantu knots became space buns. The little that's left is for my skin to become a costume. At Rachel Dolezal, they'll demand foreign, but that won't mean African. Ask for black, but that won't mean dark skin. When Tasia gets her hair done, people assume she has a weave. When Becky gets her hair done, people ask if she got extensions. The word weave in me instigates a rush of emotion. The connotation of the word upsets me. Weave to you means twerking. Neon colored acrylics, Kool-Aid as our H2O. Lost in translation once again. Our word misused, made ugly. My weave is no longer a crown to you. It is thrown down, but I will pick it up, dust it off, and this time hold it tighter. You insensitively, undeservingly fill your hand with the most delicate part of me as your hand discredits the creativity when they do this. Tell them this hair, this character, this spirit is beyond basic understanding. Take your hair from their fingers with a little attitude, the one Mama taught you. Tell them, for my hair is much like the forbidden fruit. A touch of it will give knowledge undeserved. Black girl magic is inside out, inside our treasure chests like shiny gold, like skin in the sun, like magic. Black girl magic is veins filled with humility, but simultaneously self-awareness, knowing who you are. Having magic is an indescribable essence when the world sees you as angry. Remember, within you is passion. When the world sees you as prideful, remember within you is confidence. Black girl, your hair on its own is a single entity. You are black, girl.
Woo! Give it up for Kudzai Kaparura! Second poem, second round. Woo! Damn. Dexter got a 25.3 on their second round poem. We're going to find out what Kudzai Kaparura got after the next poet. On deck is Kate, but coming up right now, you saw them in the first round. Give it up for Chantel Elliott.
Okay, this poem is called Our Generation. Okay. You're going down the tragic path that has nothing but the smell of death at the end. You've been beaten, mistreated, so to gain your perplexed hand you lend. Little do you know what you're getting yourselves into. Our generation. The future entrepreneurs, architects, and doctors, the future lawyers and boxers. Never forget your ancestors, the ones who bled and died to put you where you are now, the ones who fought to get you where you are today, the ones who dug the passageway, the reason you can now say, I'm successful. They are study building jails, want to see our generation in bondage. Stop giving them what they want and erase the Black statistics, because we are wonderfully made by God himself. So stop prostituting your bodies and be with someone through sickness and in health. This goes out to the mother that's moaning, to the dad that's in jail, wanting to see his son make something of himself, or the teachers that are ready to throw in the towel. Please don't give up on us, because together we can make a change. God called the young because they're strong and the old because they know the way. I know your parent wasn't there. That doesn't mean you can't help break the generational curse. It doesn't matter where you come from. It's where you're going. So to my generation, keep your head up high.
Woo! Give it up for Chantel Elliott. Poems got that ending, right? Right, team? Woo! Oh my goodness. Kudzai Kaparura got a 26.6 on that second round poem. We're going to find out what Chantel Elliott got. On deck is Ray. But coming up right now, second round poem, second poem. Give it up for Kate!
I was born into the summer, 7 pounds and 3 ounces at 7:45 on a morning in July. And the summer sun poured over me like I'd been made from it, round and pink-faced, reaching for the sky. And as you held my little hands in yours, you must have thought, you are your mother's daughter. But you forgot every mother that came before her. It is from you and them I inherited my spine and the shadows of wars that only my bones remember. The thing about women is that we inherit trauma. The thing about women is that we inherit strength. We pass these things down to one another like laughter and engagement rings and stew recipes. I feel that maternal lineage in the stubborn set of my jaw, the brave cut of my collarbones. I hold my mother's hand in mine. And every line in our palms is a moment of overcoming from my mother and her mother and her mother before her. And as I look at myself in the mirror, I hear them saying, the world is frightening. We made you fearsome. You were born into the summer, an oldest daughter with hair in shades of red and gold and amber like the sun had poured into you. When you took your first breath, as my grandmother's hands cradled you, she must have thought, so this is love. And she passed that love on to you and you gave it to me. And it keeps growing like succulents in the heat, love in the face of resilience, the most precious of family heirlooms. If devotion was a currency, we'd be moneyed, wealthy, rich. And every day when I think about wolf whistles out car windows and scars on old hands and the boys who shoved me on the playground and unhappy unions and centuries of silence and walking to my car at night, keys in hands, look under the tires in the back seat, lock the doors, drive. I think of my mother and my mother's mother and all the women who came before her. I haven't yet learned my part in this ascendance. I have only the anger that echoes my footsteps and no path to tread which others might echo. You'll understand when you have your own, reassures my mother, as if she's handing me the possibility of a memory that neither one of us has written yet. And the possibility of that daughter which blooms inside me like a summer morning. I know she would inherit this fire, but not what she would forge from it. Maybe one day I will tell her, you are your mother's mother's daughter. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for Kate! My goodness, second poem, second round. Chantel Elliott got a 24.1 on that second round poem. We're going to find out what Kate got after this next poet. On deck is Merm, but coming up right now, they kicked off the first round with the first poem. Coming back in the second round, give it up for Ray!
What if I had a house? Not like white picket fence 2 stories, but a house. Holy and safe, Black and lesbian. Let me specify the and, not or, it has to be both. What if I had a house? Not like renting from a crooked ass landlord with Section 8 inspections disrespecting the sacredness of a place I'm renting anyway, but a house in its wholeness. Not like house of abundance, because there is no abundance in a commune. In this holy space, the sacrifices don't hurt nobody. The love doesn't come with a price or conditions, and our politics don't leave any room for questions. The sibs in this house burn incense. And mother don't complain or call it no devil shit, it's worship. Just as this house worship us, we worship it and each other. We are clean because we meditate and know that a full moon is the best bath that we can have. We are full because rice is always a meal in the diaspora, and we don't fight each other because we save that energy for the cis heads. Our house will be out west, kind of like that pink house on Central, but make it dyke. not with rainbow capitalism, but Black lesbian communism, because in this house, the commitment to the revolution starts before you enter. In this house, revolution is not a buzzword. Niggas are really about it. To protect our legacy, our lineage, our kindred, we will do anything to protect you. Leave your trauma at the door with your shoes. You have walked around with that baggage for so long. Breathe. Make yourself anew, reinvent, recreate, replenish whatever it is you desire to, because in this house, these walls give back to you everything you have given to everyone. They who are God deserves a home.
Woo! Give it up for Ray! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, team. Give it up for all the poets tonight. My goodness. Clap for all the poets tonight. We somehow we're down to the last two poets in the second round. Kate in the first round got a 24.5. We're going to find out what Ray got after the next poet. Listen, Josh is on deck closing out the second round. Somehow in a blink, the second round has gone by like that. But coming up right now, second poem in the second round from them. Give it up for me.
Okay. Bloody colonial resistance. My doctor declared I was anemic and popped pills into my hands because I have been bleeding for the last 3 months. But I know I'm not bleeding just for me. I'm bleeding for the ancestors before me. I'm bleeding for the children who come after. I'm bleeding in defiance of colonialism, in defiance of what I know is slowly killing me, telling me I am not good enough. My body and mind aren't beautiful enough. The way I speak and the language I use isn't enough. My body is in defiance of everything that is trying to bring me to my knees while bringing me to my knees in excruciating pain. The feeling of my uterus and reproductive organs being ripped out in the hopes that I will become sterile. For the next generation not to have my brown genes, my indigenous genes, the knowledge and memories passed down to my children, my tama'itai. In the 5 years that I have been bleeding for unknown times and unknown reasons with bloody consequences, there has been one time that my body finally balanced. My mind was at peace. The moana was in sight, my people around me. The moment I touched the earth of my island of Bolu, my body changed. My jaw unclenched to cry out with joy. My fists became hands that could love without violence. My shoulders dropped at the breeze of the ocean. My back met with a warm, humid air unfamiliar to this mind, but familiar to this body. I turned to see the sun over the horizon of a never-ending ocean, confining me to the island I stand upon and the blood and bones of my ancestors. My body did not bleed, but only when necessary and for the right amount of time, because my body knew that it was home. It was away from pain, it was away from hatred, away from traumas, and filled with new ones of all-knowing and communal. To fill previous voids of parts of myself that I cut off, I burned away to feel something in the life that I had. This feeling was a feeling of finality, a sense of belonging, familiarity. This ached my body, my soul, my mana, when no eyes were watching, but the mana of those who loved me were with me. And the memories given when I had no time previously, but was passed down from my mother through the process of giving birth to me, where blood was shed in unbearable pain, stands the memory still in her mind and my life in her hands. And now I bleed, remembering, speaking, listening, dancing, singing, running back to the earth that healed me. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for me! Team, somehow we have gotten to the final poet of the second round. And from the 7 poets that you're hearing right now, we are going to say goodbye to 2 more poets after this final poet, and then we're going to have the final 5 in the final round of the grand finale, and then we're going to find out who finishes first, second, and third. Okay, Ray got a 24.7 in for their last poem. We're going to find out what Merm got after this final poet in the second round. closing us out right now. Second poem. Give it up for Josh.
Last night, I spent my darkness on the beach. Light skin scars scathe waves. My reflection taunts the wake until it storms sand, only to find a body of cracked Heineken bottles and foreclosed crab shells. I wandered here in hopes I couldn't find myself. That this vast expanse of dihydrogen oxide with more soul than grandma's Pentecostal church pew had a bit of space in its depths for my shame. I am so close to becoming nothing. When I stole the biggest kitchen knife we had and locked myself in the bathroom, I just wanted something clean and reflective to really see myself, because my bathroom mirror has known me too long, and those are the kinds of people who cannot see me like this. The way you were frantically drumming the door reminded me my heart naturally skips beats. God's way of saying it takes more than a kick drum to get me going, and I won't realize I'm dancing until I'm snared. I strip naked. The Atlantic Ocean is God's bathroom mirror, and here I find myself surrounded by empty homes. Shells of the boys before me convinced they must scrub drying blood until their skin is raw and dead enough to be considered masculine. I strip naked because I need everyone to see this. The stars only keep their distance because we haven't shown them enough trauma to force a bond. Draw me into your constellations. Use my neck to choke life into Orion's belt. Give my breath to that jagged beauty, Cassiopeia. Maybe it'll make all the women who stole it jealous. I swim naked, an offering of molded bread, raisins, yearning to be wine and refuse communion plates. Yes, mother, I can feel the daggers you stare into my rib cage twist, but I would rather bleed than allow God to know me inside out. I want to let my insides out. Why did I choose a blade as serrated as the moment you found me, dripping, barely a boy any longer, to carve my wings? I swear I'm not a masochist. I just couldn't be convinced I'm real. That's why I'm here. Naked, crawling beneath the waves. Yes, grandmother, God's grace does drag the strongest men to their knees, but God barely had to flash me a smile. Don't lie to me any longer. I took the knife because I'm weak. I locked the door because I'm too prideful to die with an audience. I float in the darkness because I'm too afraid to drown in the light.
Woo! Give it up for Josh closing out the second round. Oh my goodness, team. Does anybody else feel like they're levitating off of the floor right now, whether you're sitting or standing like me? I feel like my feet are like a little bit lifted off the ground. I think I grew like 1.5 inches in height just like listening to these poems. Before we say anything else, I just want to give a special shout out to the incredible poet you saw that was a Sat Goat, certified legend out of the ATL. Like I said, arguably the second greatest city in the United States at this current moment in time, mathematically. And she should know because she has a PhD in derivative mathematics and calculus in the university of my heart. And she's an amazing person. Give it up for Ashley Hayes doing the scoring tonight, crunching those numbers. So Merm got a 23.1. Josh got a 24.1. We are about to find out the 5 of the 7 we just heard from who are going to the final round of the grand finale of America's Best College Poet 2021 and find out who goes home with $250 in third place, $250 in second place, and $1,000 US cash. Okay? And the title of 2021, America's Best College Poet. Before we do that, though, we have an incredible poet who I've known for a really long time, who's hilarious and wonderful and brilliant, and another one who's truly a legend in the game out of Charlotte, North Carolina, National Poetry Slam champion. Give it up for Carlos Robson! Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to follow in Ebony's footsteps and say Carlos, you're an amazing host. You are so much better than I would be in this position. Hosting takes an entirely different skill than being a good poet, and you have both of them. I've seen other folks on this call host things, and they're also great. I am lacking in the hosting division, and you are absolutely killing it, sir. Thank you very much. Here's a poem. And if it looks like I'm reading it off my phone, I'm not. I'm just holding my phone. Just happen to be holding my phone. In 1877, a man walked into the office of the Scientific American and he set before its editors a machine. He then turned its crank and the machine spoke. It said, "Good morning, how do you do, and how do you like the phonograph?" And thus, recorded sound first cut through the air. Some 50 years later, in 1927, a blind street preacher named Willie Johnson was approached by a man who had a phonograph recorder in the back of his car. And on one hot Texas afternoon, a needle carved beeswax into a groove as blind Willie recorded the greatest ever example of slide guitar, a song he wrote about the crucifixion of Christ, which he named "Dark Was the Night." The Russian composer Igor Stravinsky once said, "Music praises God. It is better able to praise him than the building of a church." They say Stravinsky so often looked for inspiration that every time his music found direction, he would just as quickly change, looking for something more perfect. And then, on the 100th anniversary of recorded sound in 1977, NASA shot a satellite into space. Knowing that it may be the first thing from our race to ever come in contact with, how did they put it, intelligent life forms or far future humans who might find it, they put a gold-plated record on board and a stylus. And they named it the Voyager. It was mankind's message in a bottle that they pointed to the heavens and pitched. It says, "We were here, we created, we believed in things, we exist." Something to represent the entire history of humankind. And out of the 27 recordings that they etched into its side, Blind Willie and Stravinsky were two of them. Willie spent his life in juke joints and liquor houses, but his music is now kicking 10 billion miles away. Stravinsky was once arrested for rewriting the Star-Spangled Banner because he felt like he could make it better, and what he made just crossed the threshold of a solar system. When Blind Willie couldn't find a bottleneck, y'all, he would use a switchblade as his slide, scraping metal against metal as some man-made contraption now skips past a nebula. How ironic is it that a song called "Dark Was the Night" just felt the light from a supernova? See, the reason that artists live to write or compose or paint is the same reason that scientists invent. It's to create. It's so that when nobody is looking and the entire universe is quiet, we can ask God to reveal just what he's hiding. What mark shall I leave, God? How far can I inspire? Because if the sky is the limit, I'm willing to shoot that much higher. Who cares if scientists have no faith? What we call God, they call outer space, and one day somebody's going to see it floating out there on its own. That prayer that we launched made of steel and of chrome, it's our Declaration of Independence, y'all, and we dipped it in gold because it's we who are the Voyagers, and we are not here alone. Blind Willie, Stravinsky, Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms. I wonder what those future creatures will think of when they crank up that arm, and I swear some days later we will intercept a laser while young people hold their breath and stare into the sky and ask, how long have we waited for what's in this reply? As some NASA nerd transcribes that message bleep by single bleep, a nation of old folks will rise to their feet, pulled by some force to the TVs. They'll stand by, and the message will read, yes, we too know Jesus, and he was a hell of a guy, but could you please send us more? Blind Willie Johnson. That's my poem.
Woo! Yes. Give it up for Carlos Robson. Oh my goodness, team. Wow. It's almost like the storytelling. My goodness. Like take notes on that, on how to sketch out a story arc. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. So team, I said this after the first round. I'm going to say it again after the second round. The best poets often do not win competitions like this, do not advance in competition like this, which is not throwing any shade on whoever's go to the finals, but it's a true story. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've been in slams where Ty Freedom Ford or Rachel McKibbins or, you know, like Stacey and Chin didn't make the second round. So like, what do you want me to tell you? But that happens, you know? So we're going to say goodbye right now to two incredible poets who I'm sure have moved you as much as they've moved me. Give it up for Merm. Everybody clap for Merm. Bringing incredible work tonight, second year in a row in the finale. And give it up for Josh, second year too. Give it up for Josh, bringing some incredible work, which means we are down to the final five, the third round of the grand finale of 2021 America's Best College Poet, to find out who goes home with $1,000, who goes home with the title. We are going to hear from, in this order, Kudzai Kaparura. We're going to hear from Dexter. We're going to hear from Kate. We're going to hear from Chantel Elliott. And closing out the third and final round of the finale, we're going to hear from Ray. Give it up for all five of those poets. Give it up for Merm and Josh. Who's ready? Clap if you're ready. Clap if you're ready. Throw up an emoji if you're ready. We're going to jump right into it. On deck is Dexter, but going right now, third poem in the third round tonight. Give it up for Kudzai Kaparura.
So this poem is going to be call and response. So I'm going to say the same line a couple times. Who am I when I me? And you guys will say you are you, we are we. They don't think this skin is pretty. You're cute for a black girl. They don't think this skin is pretty. Why are you so dark? They don't think this skin is pretty. Nah, I wouldn't date a black girl unless she was a light skin. Who am I when I am me?
You are you.
You are you, we are we.
They don't want to see your black skin. They don't want to see your kinky hair. They don't want to see your nappy hair, black girl. Who am I when I am me?
You are you.
You are you, and we are
We
we.
are we.
They will look right past your dark, majestic eyes and into your soul to find something. Who am I when I am me?
You are
You
you.
are you, and we are we.
What's up? They say. Hello, I say. I'm happy, I say. Are you? They question. I'm not, I will admit. Continue, they persist. I'm black, I'm beautiful, but in this world, sadly, only to myself. I've got a brain, a smart one. I've got feelings, a passion, hopes for the future, and a vision of a world without oppression. They're gone. They dig into my soul. The dirt is left exposed. The shovel is cast to the side. Into my soul. What was searched for was not found. The quest for that black accent was unsuccessful. The quest for that uncouth behavior they would use as a means of entertainment was unsuccessful. I'm sorry, are you not entertained? But my true being is left exposed. I'm exposed. We're exposed. Who am I when I am me?
You are you, and we are we.
We are we.
All right, so I'm kind of tired of being intellectually underestimated and athletically overestimated. You know, I'm sick and tired of the word nigga being carelessly tossed around by white persons. Did you know our ancestors were once slaves and they were lynched, burned, and killed under this label? You know, I'm kind of tired of writing poetry in hopes to change the world. Will your mind be provoked? Will your mind be provoked? But I'll get myself up every morning and dust myself off. Let your dreads hang loosely, your dashiki wear it boldly. Take pride in your culture, leave cosmetics at the store for my melanin I adore. But it seems a pattern has been formed and I alone cannot state it. Who am I when I am me?
You are you. We are we.
Something they don't want to see. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for Kudzai Kaparura, setting off the final round of the grand finale. We're going to hear from 4 more poets. Okay, we're going to find out what Kudzai... Actually, no, we're not going to find out what Kudzai Kaparura's scores are, because that would make it too easy for people who know how to do simple arithmetic, and we like suspense, so we're not going to tell you what the third round scores are. Right, judges? Right. I guess I'm just going to decide it. It's more exciting that way. So on deck is Kate. Up right now, though. Third poem from them. Give it up for Dexter!
You remind me of someone I knew. Loud, brash, like a tidal wave of lava, he crashed into me with brightness in his eyes and a fire in his heart. And I still think of him sometimes. He disappeared behind nicotine, Adderall, leather. He hid behind the mask he made for himself to describe how he felt. But for the first time in years, I had fallen in love in a way that made me take my own mask off. And because of his mask, he hid from my love, and the way he loved me was not the same way I loved him. And you remind me of him. You too have a mask, but it's not the same like his was. Yours is reading in coffee shops and long, sprawling poetry, like chocolate on a hot day, oozing out the cracks of the paper, as if the poet aesthetic could mask who you truly were inside. But I got to see inside. And there was that brightness in your eyes that I saw that made me want to experience the pain of falling in love again. You nudged me more than crashed into me, touched me with the warmth of your smile, and yet you disappeared just like he did under that mask, as if who you are wasn't good enough, even though you were all I wanted, and you act like this is a game, and I implore you to rethink, because you cannot show me that love and tear it away because you can't stand to be yourself around me. I took off my own mask so you could see inside my heart, just like I did with him. But when I gave you my all, you took my removed mask and tore it in two and left me out to dry. Do you think this is a joke? Do you need your mask to hide away so badly so no one can truly find you? Because when I peeled the mask back to look at you dead in the eyes, you ran away. I hope you had your fun, because now my mask is taped together and broken and is never leaving.
Woo! Gosh, give it up for Dexter. Final poem. It's always bittersweet when you get to the final round because you're like, oh gosh, oh no, that's the last poem we're going to hear from them tonight. That's awful. I want to hear more poems. We have 3 poets left in the final round. On deck, we have Chantel Elliott, but coming up right now, 3rd and final poem tonight. Give it up for Kay!
An open letter to myself as a child. First of all, you need to stop eating peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon. There's a reason why people look at you strangely when you do it at the lunch table, and that's because it's fucking weird. Secondly, I'm sorry I didn't love you enough. I'm sorry I let you wear nothing but 2 sizes too large sweatpants because I convinced you that your body didn't belong in anything else. I'm sorry for making you think that you took up too much space to deserve to take up space. You don't need to relegate yourself to the role of fat kid. You're more than just comic relief. I guess I didn't know that you'd spend your childhood making jokes so people would have something else to laugh at. Your heart doesn't have to be the punchline. There is poetry and stretch marks. I know you love to read. Even when it gets you in trouble, I know you're proud of it and you have every right to be, but there's more to this world than you think there is. You'll see that if you read between the lines. Stop writing hundreds of stories and letting them rot in dark internet corners. Stop changing the pronouns in your love poems. Love her in symphonies. You are going to write a novel, by the way, even though I told you you never could. You can be what inspires you, and you can inspire others. You are not just a mirror for the world to reflect through. If you feel stranded outside of sentences, then pick up a pen. And furthermore, on the topic of heartbreak, I'm sorry that your ventricles are rupturing. I still don't know how to turn off those valves, but I promise you, it won't always feel like this. Thank you for loving wholeheartedly, even when it's agonizing. I know I told you you were broken, but I was lying. That insidious thing that's choking you, that which you still won't name, I feel it too. But you must blazon every bone of yours with the words, accept only the love that is worthy of you, an open letter to myself as a child. The love that you have is worthy of you. Thank you.
Woo! Woo! Give it up for Kate! Final poem from her tonight. We are somehow down to the final 2 poets in the last round team. Okay? And those last two poets are going to be in this order. Chantel Elliott will be next. Ray will be on deck, closing out the third and final round. Then we're going to hear a poem from Katie Kramer, one of my favorite people and poets on earth. And then we are going to invite Ashley Hayes underneath the spotlight to reveal who finished third, second, and who is 2021 America's Best College Poet. Right now, they'll give it up for Chantel Elliott.
Okay. So this poem is called The Poetry Poem. Okay. Let me take a breather. See, me and poetry have a love and hate relationship. But it's that family member that always calls me home and lets me know that I'm not alone. See, poetry is that shoulder I can cry on in times of despair. That friend that always has my back no matter what. It carries me even when my feet are tired from walking through the plantation of my mind. Poetry heals me kind of how Jesus healed the woman with the issue of blood. Poetry is that secret admirer that sends me flowers when I feel like no one thinks I'm beautiful. Poetry says, sis, you look rather spiffy today. Poetry, today I tell you thank you. You are that lending ear when no one listened to me. No one gave me a platform on their stage. I was always bullied, ridiculed, and marginalized, but you listened to me, poetry. You never judged. Poetry, how I love your syllables, your motifs, your supporting details, your figurative language, your rhythm, your stride, your style, your demeanor. You literally have a way with words. But some people in my life may forbid me to be with you because they say you can't ever pay the bills. But I'll forever hold you in my heart because I don't mind you being my forbidden lover. Poetry, sometimes I don't feel you near me, but other times you're close. And right now I need you to listen to me. Listen to my pen run across this paper. Listen to my wisdom bleed on your pages because someone needs to hear you right now. Poetry, can you please speak to the one listening to this poem? Just let them know that their problems are only temporary and trouble don't last always. Poetry, tell people that when no one else will listen to them, you will. Poetry, tell them that their past never validates their future and that God is fighting for them. Hey, poetry, don't you die on me. Don't you sit here and die on me. I don't want this poem to end. I don't want these words to go unheard and misunderstood. I need you, poetry. Are you still there? Are you still there? Stay with me. I'm losing you. Stay with me. Hang in there. Don't you dare flatline on me. Oh no. I think I just lost the poem.
Woo! Give it up for Chantel Elliott. Woo, woo, woo. Team, we are down to the final poet in the final round. Can you believe this? Who did this? Who pulled me through this portal and left me here an hour and 50 minutes later? I don't know how this happened. Closing out the third and final round, please give it up. Final poem from them. Give it up for Ray.
Hallowed be thy hoodoo. A religion with no hierarchies. Everybody is equal and anybody can get crossed if need be. Survived off the plantation, spiritual protection, a necessity for a people always under scrutiny, power and glory in thy name. Conjurers, root doctors, two heads, for we have taken many forms. Passed down through generations, we know a lineage is not made up of only blood, and inside the mahogany is grief, but a community of hoodoos can fix anything. A oil, a bath, a love life, a ceremony for the dead. We know a legacy is never to be abandoned. Care is more than a model, but a commandment. We recreate holiness and rejoice in it. Blessed be my ancestors who protect this space, who taught me the Bible can be a book of spells. Psalms will carry you through the treacherous waters if you let it. Safety is possible and healing does not require wallowing in misery. It is preferential to choose joy, for conjure is the kingdom. Everything you offer to this space will be returned to you. Vulnerability does not seem so far anymore. There is a multitude of offerings and sacrifices here. Lay your problems at the altar. Holy be thou who allowed themselves to be seen, who preserves stories through a bottle tree, and know listening to the blues is an affirmation from the spirits that you are worthy of protection, who remind you that in your lineage there is a presence of the most high conquerors of the waters, of the fields, of the temple. Blessed be this old time religion. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for Ray! Give it up for all the poets that you heard from tonight. I'm going to shout out all 9. Give it up for Ray one more time. Give it up for Maddie McGlinchey. Give it up for Josh. Give it up for Kendriana. Give it up for Chantel Elliott. Give it up for Kate. Give it up for Kudzai Kaparura. Give it up for Dexter and Merm. What an incredible night of poetry. Oh my gosh, my brain and my spirit and my heart are spinning. Our mathematics savant, Ashley Hayes, is going to crunch numbers, and then I'm going to turn it to her, and she will reveal the 3 winners and the overall winner of America's Best College Poet. But right now, we have an incredible poet who's going to buy Ashley a little bit of time and bless you with a poem. National Poetry Slam champion, legend out of one of the most legendary poetry scenes in the United States, out of the Denver, Colorado scene that you may have heard of. Also has some other legends come out of there, like Andrea Gibson and Ken R. Kind, and a ton of other poets I can't think of right now, but those are 2 other really great ones. She's one half of Dare to Speak. Give it up for Katie Kramer!
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you so much. Echoing all the others, you are such an incredible host. And now I'm going to steal the phrase University of my heart, because that is truly the funniest thing you've ever said. Y'all, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much. I can't tell you, the Zoom life has led to, I'm sure all of my colleagues will agree, just so much less. I'm hearing so many less other people read poems. So it's such a treat to hear you all read poems. And in the name of really just wanting to hear you all, I'm just going to read something probably unfinished and silly. So, great. Wash my hands for 20 seconds? Who has hands anymore? I washed those things all the way off. What else was there to do? My bed sheets have never been so washed. My hair so dirty. What's makeup? What's a bra? What's pants made out of anything but cozy? Guess I'll clean the bathroom again. Guess I'll make another batch of banana chocolate chip muffins. Guess I'll keep stalking old loves on the internet. One of mine is interviewing poets on Instagram Live every day, and I'm watching every single one. Yeah, I realize now that I've said that, anyone who knows will know who I'm talking about, but who cares? It's the fucking end of the world, and I'm pretty sure I loved that person and just never knew how to say it. My 2-year-old, 3-year-old doesn't know it's the end of the world. I just keep telling her I can't remember where the playground is, and all our friends are on vacation, but I think she's catching on. My dogs couldn't be happier. They haven't been walked this much since before we had a kid and forgot what dogs are. One morning, I won the coronavirus lottery when there was a single pack of toilet paper sitting on the shelf at the Walgreens. I kept looking over my shoulder, waiting for someone to tackle me for it, so I think I'll spend the afternoon watching YouTube videos of karate moves and digging through my basement for my old combat boots, because you know you never can be too careful. My mom, who votes for Trump and is also my best friend, thinks COVID-19 is a hoax made up by the Democrats to get Biden elected into office. I keep trying to tell her that Biden is way too fucking boring to have scammed up anything that interesting. But of course, I voted for him. Got excited when I thought November 3rd might be the first time I left the house this year, till I remembered that Colorado does all mail-in voting, so there went that hot date. My husband works from home now, so while I'm busy being a mom upstairs, I can hear him through the vents saying phrases like circle back around. It's real hard to feel sexy towards your coworker who leaves their lunch dishes in the sink every single day, but we're doing our gosh darn best. Bought a fire pit and a trampoline for the backyard, so hopefully kids will come over and our daughter won't think the only people in the world are her parents and
Ebony, you
I know.
Okay.
that I'm afraid I won't remember how to say yes. My internet never works when I'm talking. It only works when everyone else is talking. But I'm really glad that I heard all of your poems.
It was amazing until just the end. We just missed a little at the end. It was fantastic.
Who cares? Perfect. Woo! Back to Carlos.
It's so good though. It's so good though. Like, honestly, any 13-second snippet of Katie Kramer is probably the best 13 seconds we're ever gonna hear. So who cares? You know what I mean? Katie, would you be down to read like the last 25 seconds?
Are you serious?
Or more? Because I really want to hear it. Does anybody else want to hear it?
Oh my God, you all are ridiculous.
Ebony, I saw Ebony unmute and think about it. I was like, Ebony, like, give it up for Katie Kramer. Last 25.
When did it stop? Whatever. Okay.
Last line I heard was that when your kid thought the only other humans were your parents, were their parents.
Perfect. Bought a fire pit and a trampoline for the backyard, so hopefully people with kids will come over and our daughter won't think the only people in the world are her parents and Moana. I have dreams about meeting new people and shaking their bare hands. I have nightmares about being in a crowded place and no one is wearing masks. Is it wild that I'm terrified for this to be over? That I may have developed a phobia of mouths? That I'm afraid I won't still be able to say no? I'm afraid I won't remember how to say yes. Thank you very much.
Woo! Give it up for Katie Kramer! I know Katie's obviously not doing this, but Katie, in the old school like slams at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe where there wasn't a timekeeper, one of the strategies that one poet had was to pretend that he'd forgotten the poem to build up hype and have people learn like 30 or 35 seconds of his poem. He'd be like, hold on, give me a second. They like turn around and like breathe and then do it like perfectly. I can't.
That's sneaky and I love it.
Give it up for all the poets again. You've waited long enough. Give it up for your incredible scorekeeper. We're going to find out who are the winners tonight. But spoiler alert, everyone's a winner because you're all incredible. You're the winners of my heart. But somebody is going to walk away with cash. Give it up for Ashley. Hey!
Hello, everyone. I have been quiet most of the time, but this is my favorite time to speak. Congratulations to everybody. Applaud the poets always, never the scores, but the scores matter sometimes. So, in 5th place, with a score of a 71.8, it was so close. Please give a wonderful Zoom round of applause for Chantel. In 4th place, with a 72.4, please give a warm Zoom round of applause for Ray. And here is the money. In 3rd place with a prize of $250 with a score of 73.2. Please give a Zoom round of applause for Kate. In 2nd place, this was so tight, you guys. In 2nd place with a score of 74.7 and walking home with $250 is Dexter, which means that our crown champion tonight, who is leaving with a prize of $1,000, is Kudzai. You all please applaud all of the poets. Kudzai, feel free to take your victory lap. Tell us if you have anything to say, feel free to give your speech. I'm gonna hand it to you.
I'm just like so happy. I'm genuinely so happy. Like I'm thankful and I'm really happy for this opportunity. Like it's crazy because I used to write a lot of written word back when I was in high school. Actually, that last poem that I read is the first written word poem or like slam poem I've ever written. That was like my sophomore year of high school. And I won that poem at like just a local, really small all-city poetry slam. Like, and my city's super tiny. But I got out of poetry for a really long time. And actually, Tennille is here. She runs a club at our school called Slam. And she's like, Kudzai, I want you to be part of this. And so she told me, come to America's Best College Poet. And I was like, because I've been really hesitant about getting back into poetry. And so literally the day of, I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to make myself go. I'm going to read something and it doesn't matter what the results are. I just want to be there. Like, I just want to like read poetry again, and I want to be part of that culture again because it's powerful. And to have this, like, I'm just honored to have even competed against people who are so talented, first of all. Like, and then all of the different workshops that we got to do were amazing also. Like, I literally was calling my mom like, oh my gosh, mom, guess who I got to meet today? Like, I'm super thankful. To say all of that, just to say I'm very, very thankful. And yeah, this is really awesome.
Well, congratulations, Kudzai. Carlos, you want to send us out?
Give it up again, everybody. Listen, if you had fun tonight, if you had fun on this journey, go and tell 10 friends at 10 different schools. Tell your enemy, your best friend, your partner, your cousin, your whoever, so that in 2022, when we come back next spring, it is no doubt going to be the biggest America's Best College Poet ever. If you were in the finale this year, definitely let's do it again next year and invite everybody you know. I'm just so inspired and moved by every single one of you. I hope you felt the same way. Thank you all so much. Get home safe, aka like turn off your phone safely or close your laptop safely. I appreciate y'all so much. Big shout out again to Sue Boxrood, who made all of this possible, did all of the thankless, invisible work behind the scenes that rarely gets recognized. There is Sue. Sue is so wonderful. Give it up for Sue Boxrood. Everybody clap for Sue Boxrood. It takes a huge team to make something like this happen, but really, like, the entire team is mostly Sue Boxrood when it comes to ABCP. Give it up for all your judges. Ebony Stewart. Ebony Stewart is a judge. Who else is a judge? Carlos Robson is a judge. Katie Kramer's a judge. Ashley Hayes is your scorekeeper. I'm your host, Carlos Andres Gomez. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Send in love. Keep writing poems, and we'll see you in 2022.
I just wanted to say thank you again for this opportunity. I just feel really lucky to be here and to have gotten to meet so many of you. This is really awesome. I love what you guys do.
Thanks, Kudzai. You're so great.
Thank you. Congrats.
Awesome.
That was amazing.
Well-deserved.
Spectacular.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.